What if UConn's next championship identity is already sitting right in front of us? Not in the transfer portal, not in some mystery late edition, but in Sarah Strong, KK Arnold, and Ashlyn Shade, becoming the new engine, closer, and tone setter for UConn Huskies WBB.
Prime Field!
Huskies fans, this is the question of the offseason. After Azzi Fudd, what does UConn become next? Because Azzi gave this team gravity. She bent defenses. She gave Geno Auriemma a shot maker who could change the whole floor just by standing on the wing. But now, the 2026-27 UConn Huskies have to build a new identity. And today, we're breaking down why Sarah Strong, KK Arnold, and Ashlyn Shade might be the trio that defines the next version of UConn basketball. Who becomes the engine? Who becomes the closer? Who sets the tone every single night? Let's get into it. Let's start with the obvious, because sometimes the obvious is still terrifying. Sarah Strong is not just UConn's best player. She's the entire tactical center of this next team. We're talking about a player who already proved she can lead UConn as a scorer, rebounder, passer, defender, and emotional anchor. In 2025-26, she was putting up superstar numbers, around 18 points, nearly 8 rebounds, almost 4 assists, and elite defensive production every night. That is not normal. The scary part? Sarah Strong still feels like she has another level, because when you watch her, she doesn't dominate like she's forcing the game. She dominates like the game is slowly bending toward her. She can post, she can face up, she can hit the three, she can grab the rebound and start the break herself. That is the kind of player who changes the math. If UConn needs a bucket late, the ball should touch Sarah Strong. If the offense gets stuck, the ball should touch Sarah Strong. If a defense switches, doubles, zones up, or tries to get physical, the answer still starts with Sarah Strong. This is where the big three conversation begins. Because Sarah is the closer. She is the one who can turn a tight game into a UConn run. She's the one who forces the defense to make a decision. Do you send help and leave shooters? Do you play her straight up and risk getting cooked? Do you put a big on her and watch her move in space? Do you put a guard on her and watch her punish the mismatch? That is nightmare basketball. And Huskies fans, this is the first emotional peak. If Sarah Strong is fully healthy and fully unleashed in 2026-27, UConn doesn't just have a star, UConn has the kind of centerpiece that can drag an entire team into the national title conversation. Now let's talk about KK Arnold, because this is where the identity gets fast. KK is the engine. She may not always be the first name casual fans mention, but if you watch UConn closely, you know her value is everywhere. She controls tempo, she gets the ball moving, she pressures the point of attack, she turns defense into offense, and last season she led UConn in assists, ranked near the top nationally in assist-to-turnover ratio, and became one of the most important defensive guards in the country. That matters because post-AZ UConn cannot become slow, predictable, or overly dependent on one superstar. If every possession becomes throw it to Sarah and hope, good teams will load up. KK prevents that. She creates pace before the defense gets set. She forces rotations. She makes the first advantage happen. And once that first advantage happens, everything becomes easier. Sarah Garrett gets deeper touches. Shade gets cleaner looks. The freshmen and role players get rhythm shots. The whole team breathes better when KK is dictating the game. And defensively, that's where she can set the personality. A UConn team led by KK Arnold at the point can be nasty, picking up full court, speeding teams up, making ball handlers uncomfortable, turning a simple possession into panic. Here's the key question for KK in 2026-27. Can she become just enough of a scoring threat to make defenses pay? She doesn't need to be AZ. Nobody is asking her to be AZ. But if KK hits open threes, attacks gaps, finishes through contact, and keeps defenders honest, that unlocks a different version of UConn. Because then you're not just guarding Sarah Strong, you're guarding pace, you're guarding pressure, you're guarding chaos, and that is when UConn starts feeling dangerous again. Now, Ashlyn Shade might be the most important swing piece in this whole conversation, because Sarah is the superstar, KK is the engine, but Ashlyn might be the player who determines whether this trio becomes good or championship level. Shade has already shown she can score. She has already shown she can play in big moments. She has already built a strong UConn resume with a major Big East honors and a national championship on her record. But last season, her scoring role changed. Her shooting numbers dipped. Her impact became more all around. Assists, rebounds, steals, defense, leadership. That is valuable. But for this UConn team, the next step is clear. Ashlyn Shade has to become a reliable floor spacer again. Because if she shoots it well, everything opens. Think about it. Sarah Strong on the blocker at the elbow. KK Arnold attacking downhill. Ashlyn Shade spaced on the wing. If Shade is knocking down shots, the defense cannot cheat. They can't dig too far on Sarah. They can't clog the lane on KK. They can't rotate late and survive. That is why Shade's jumper is not just a personal storyline. It is a team-building storyline. And here's the hype moment. If Ashlyn gets back to being a confident, high-level shooter while keeping the defense, toughness, and playmaking she added last year, UConn suddenly has a three-player core with balance. One star forward who can do everything. One guard who controls pace and pressure. One wing guard who stabilizes the floor and punishes mistakes. That is not just a big three, that is a blueprint. So what does this actually look like on the court? First, Sarah Strong is the hub. Put Sarah at the elbow, let her catch, face up, and read the floor. KK cuts, Shade relocates. If the defense stays home, Sarah attacks. If help comes, she passes. If they sag, she shoots. That is modern basketball. Second, KK in transition. Every rebound should feel like a green light. KK pushes. Sarah trails. Shade runs to space. That puts pressure on the defense immediately. And third, Shade is the connector. Not every great possession ends with your star creating something from nothing. Sometimes it's the second pass, the extra pass, the relocation, the cut behind the defense. Shade can be that player. That's what Geno Auriemma teams are built on. Not just talent, but reads, spacing, timing, trust. And with Marine Durses added to the roster, Olivia Vicosa bringing size, Giovanna Popovic adding international guard skill, and players like Morgan Shelley returning healthy, UConn should have more options around this trio. But make no mistake, the identity still starts with Strong, Arnold, and Shade. Now here's the part people might be underrating. This trio can defend. Sarah Strong gives you versatility. She can rebound, block shots, jump out passing lanes, and guard different matchups. KK Arnold gives you ball pressure. She can bother point guards, create turnovers, and speed up the whole game. Ashlyn Shade gives you toughness on the wing. She competes. She understands her positioning. She can be part of a connected defensive group. And that matters because UConn's best teams don't just score beautifully. They suffocate you. They make you take bad shots. They make you play faster than you want. They turn one mistake into 6 quick points. And suddenly a close game becomes a 14-point UConn lead before the other coach can even settle the team down. That's the version of this trio that should excite Huskies fans. Not just pretty offense, dominance, revenge energy. A team that remembers how last season ended and comes back sharper, tougher, and more connected. So here's the big question. Are Sarah Strong, KK Arnold, and Ashlyn Shade truly UConn's new big three? I think the answer is yes, but with one condition. They don't all need to average 18 points. That's not what this is. A real big three is about roles. Sarah Strong is the closer. KK Arnold is the engine. Ashlyn Shade is the tone setter and swing piece. If each of them owns that role, UConn has a real identity. And that identity could be exactly what Geno Auriemma wants in this early offseason. Not a team built on panic moves, but a team built on development, culture, and players growing into bigger responsibility. Because that's the UConn way when it works best. The next star doesn't always arrive from outside. Sometimes she's already in the gym. Sometimes the next great trio is already wearing the jersey. So Huskies fans, here's my prediction. Sarah Strong is going to be the face of UConn Huskies WBB in 2026-27. But the ceiling of this team depends on the Strong, Arnold, and Shade connection. If Sarah is healthy and dominant, KK controls tempo, and Ashlyn becomes that consistent two-way shooter again, this team can absolutely be back in the Final Four conversation. And maybe even more than that. Because the post-AZ era doesn't have to be a step back. It can be a reset, a revenge season, a new chapter. So now I want to hear from you. Is this UConn's new big three, or is someone else about to crash the party? Drop your prediction in the comments. Like the video if you believe Sarah Strong is about to take another leap. Subscribe for more UConn women's basketball breakdowns. And next we'll talk about the newcomer who could change Geno's rotation immediately.
Prime Field!